Hello, nerds, and welcome. We are crossing the Nerdverse, bringing you yet another episode. My name is Travis. I'm joined, as always, by my stalwart co-host, Eric. Last week we talked about, well, I guess not last week, but last episode we talked about the Game Awards, which is the best of the best. So I feel like it's only fair tonight that we talk about the worst of the worst. And so we're going to cover a few topics: wrestling, video games, movies, just general flops that have happened in 2023. So a little year in review. So like I said, we brought up the best last week. Now it's time to talk about the worst. But other than that, I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. I know I sure did. Got to celebrate my son's first Christmas with family, which is always fun. But Eric, what about you? How was your Canadian Christmas?
Oh, it's good, dude. But congrats, by the way, on the first Christmas with the little one, dude. That's always the best.
Thank you.
Especially the first time. Did you get him with Santa?
Well, I mean, he's 2 months old, so
I know. That's why I was just curious, because like the first trip to Santa is always an interesting one.
No, he's still a little too young to be taken out in like crowded public places like that. We're gonna wait a few more months, get his immune system good and built up.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would absolutely if I were you. Plus, Santas aren't like they used to be, like where they get the kids on their lap and stuff as much. Like now it's sit beside them, and I don't like. Yeah, it's just different. But the first trip with Santa is always an interesting one with the kiddos.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted next year because that's gonna be the wild ride because he'll be one. So.
Oh yeah. So mine wasn't too bad. Kids were happy. We definitely I undersold Christmas this year. I didn't decorate as much. I wasn't as amped or pumped at all for Christmas this year like usual.
Are you a big Christmas decorator?
Not like huge, but usually we do something in the house. So, yeah, it was just different. So.
Yeah, I think out of all of us, Ryan is our big Christmas decorator. He definitely is the tree and like the wreaths and
all
like
out
the runners and like decorated pine cones and stuff. He goes ham. Christmas is a big deal for Ryan.
Yeah, so. Everybody's a little different. I'm actually though. I did tell my kids this year in the summer we're gonna command strip the house. Yeah. So that way next year I don't have any excuses as to why I didn't put up decorations. So this year I was like, set up. Yeah, it's too cold. I don't want to put up command strips. They won't stick right or something. I don't know. But
well, next year to go ham.
Yeah, it's definitely, but it's been an interesting year in like the entire like genre of the nerdverse, like in regards to like flops and stuff like that.
Oh, it's been a wild year, man. There's been some big ups and big downs, like some of the best video games of all time, and then follow that up with probably some of the biggest just either letdowns or just poorly made games coming out.
And part of it, I'm curious as to if would they be as big of a flop if there weren't so many highs this year. Like this year was like we were supposed to get like Redfall was supposed to be awesome. We had like what was the day? Yeah, the day before was supposed to be this other big launch. Like then you had Starfield, which did well, but was supposed to be more than what everybody's saying. And then you had Baldur's Gate 3, which just smashed it. So like in the sense of video games, it's really interesting.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate set a wild new standard for video games.
Right. And I'm just curious if we'd look at those games as such big flops if Baldur's Gate didn't even come out. Because this was supposed to be the year for video games, man. This was supposed to be like the like second coming for like video games, and like the only games that I think did what they said they would is Baldur's Gate. I feel like Starfield did and didn't. I feel like more review people hyped it up more than the Microsoft themselves and Bethesda themselves, maybe. But
yeah, I didn't. I haven't really ran into any bugs with it. It's been okay. Like I get the storyline; it's easy to follow. I understand it. Like I'm motivated to complete the story more than I was in like a lot of the Fallout games. But there's definitely spots where it's like tedious. It's like there's going to be something on every planet, and like some of those planets have like a rock, and that's it. Like do a little mining, resource mining or whatever, but then pretty much just a big empty galaxy or a big empty planet for most of it. So. And I think that's fine because not every planet is going to be highly populated, right? And given
Yeah.
how expansive it is, I mean, I guess I can understand.
And look how long it took No Man's Sky to become like decent space game.
Oh yeah,
Like took them a long time. Like, and they don't have like huge things to do on every planet either.
that took
There's
a
a lot of
lot of
space
patching.
games that don't. Yeah, I think Bethesda just unfortunately, because of the Fallout series and the way they kind of sold Starfield, the expectations were just astronomical and they couldn't live up to them. So I kind of consider it a flop because I wanted more. I mean, technically, no, because it still sold well and it performs great. It looks good. I could still hijack ships and kill innocent people, so I get my little itch scratched. So, like, it's like,
Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to throw that one into the flop category, especially when we had games like Redfall. Redfall was just kind of a huge letdown. It's a playable game. Don't get me wrong in that regard, which is better than a lot on this list, because I'm looking at one from Metacritic and then another one from IGN, and there's a lot of overlap in these two lists, and they bring up some really valid points. The one that hurt me the most though was Lord of the Rings. Like that killed me. That's two Lord of the Rings games that came out this year, and both of them have just been atrocious. Really poorly reviewed, really poorly performing. With Return to Moria and Gollum, both have just done awful.
but has Lord of the Rings ever done a good game? Like, I know the stories are always good, and like
Well,
they're
they had the
I know they had
Dead.
those the two weird ones you're thinking of, the sequels.
Yeah,
I
like
can't
Shadows
remember
of
that.
War and
Yeah,
something else where you play the guy right there at the gates to Mordor. Those games were great. I loved both of those. Like, definitely a ton of content. The game was challenging. It was really fun. The storyline was great. You also had some of the ones on the original Xbox. I think in like PlayStation. Gosh, going back to like PS2, going back that far.
okay,
They were
so
really good games.
I've
But
got it up here. Let's see. So The Hobbit came out on, oh my god, I never even heard of some of these platforms. Amstrad CPC in 1982.
that's a little before my
and
time.
and Apple too. Oh
I
my,
was
they have
negative
quite a few
5 years
games up
old.
though.
No, they've had a ton of games. Like I said, like
Yeah, I didn't realize they had this many though. Do you know
the
they actually
Shadows
had
of Mordor were really good.
You know that game actually came out in 1987 too? Shadows of Mordor, game 2 of The Lord of the Rings. I didn't
Huh.
And War in Middle Earth came out in 88. I think that's pretty interesting cuz they redid them, I guess, and didn't tell anybody.
They just gave them the
Because yeah,
same name. I mean, yeah, that's such an expansive like IP. There's definitely going to be some flops. I haven't even heard of any of those like original PC ones, but again, I didn't start playing video games until the early to mid 90s, as I was, I guess, 3 years old in 1990. So you may
no,
have me
yeah,
beat
yeah.
by a couple of years as far as when we started gaming.
It's I never realized I had so many games to the whole suit, and like I wasn't a big fan. Like I didn't mind the Shadows of Moria. Um, it was interesting, but it couldn't keep me. I think the coolest feature was either that one or the next one after that, where you killed the generals or whatever. There was like that laundry list of people.
That
You
was
could
both
kind of
of them.
like,
They had to like a pyramid of like higher
yeah,
ups and stuff. Yeah, you definitely had to like play into their weaknesses on some of those higher level bosses, because if you didn't, you were going to be in a real rough situation.
yeah. It had a nice like balance for like difficulty, so it wasn't too. But yeah, like for what you want out of a Lord of the Rings, so it's just
Oh, for sure.
Golem didn't do it.
No, Golem was bad. It was supposed to be like a thief, sneaky, like stealth based game, and I just the mechanics of it were bad. It's like not like yeah, just like the direction of the video game. Like why do you want to play a game as Gollum? But yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
don't.
just the stealth system was poor. The game was just poorly done. The graphics on it from the gameplay I've seen have been really horrendous. So yeah, just not a great one. And then the Return to Moria was just full of bugs. It's not a full build as far as like a survival crafting game goes, which is really sad because I was like, hell yeah, dwarves and Lord of the Rings, like I'm in. and that game's been a huge letdown. So just swing
A
and a
lot of
miss.
I was gonna say a lot of IPs are having issues with like making good games lately. It seems like I don't know if like they're rushing and stuff. Like
I don't know either. Well, I think I think more and more some of these studios are trying to create a dynamic game for player on player interaction, and then just kind of missing the ball, so to speak, on that. Like Call of Duty's was it Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 that came out this year? That single player story
I don't know,
mode
Modern
is
Warfare 2 or something.
garbage. Like let me look and see. Modern
What's his
Warfare
name
3,
actually?
their single player campaign is just dookie.
What's his name said his award speech was longer than the guy that voices Kratos said his award speech was longer than the fucking campaign. I mean,
Yeah.
well, like Call of Duty though is going to be unfortunately always geared towards competitive play and multiplayer.
Oh, for sure. But
And it's horrible.
they've had a fairly decent storyline on all of their games, though. I mean, some have been up and down, like some have been better than others, but for the love of God, this has just been the worst. Like it just
Yeah. I feel like
not great.
it's a throwaway year. Like it was supposed to be this amazing year, and it's kind of like a throwaway. Because even look like once we like to shift a little bit from the video games, like look at the movies, dude. All the movies that came out that were supposed to be so dynamic this year, like I didn't really think they were like that great. Like there was nothing that really came out that
Yeah, I
really
mean, a
blew
lot
me
of the
away.
superhero movies are finally started. They're finally starting to see the downturn on superhero movies because a lot of them have not done great. I mean, obviously DC's movies have just been flop after flop because that's all DC knows how to do with live action.
And they don't know how to release movies. Like Aquaman 2
They don't know
just
how to
came
make
out.
movies.
But like Aquaman 2 just came out and that fucking movie has been talked about for like the last like decade. Like who does that? Like you know the movie or the Flash. Like how do you release the Flash after all that time? Like you literally
After
wait
all that
until it's
hype.
yeah, you wait until like literally the ride is done and then you release the movie. Like everyone's excitement is done because no one even cared once it came out. Even Michael Keaton coming back couldn't save that movie. And that's telling you
No.
something. When Michael Keaton can't save your movie, you're shitty. Like, get better, DC. Please. God. And I don't have any faith because they're already like, oh well, the Joker's gonna be a totally separate world, and then Patterson's Batman's gonna be a totally separate world, and it's like, well fuck, let's just have 8 timelines, none of them will coincide, and we'll just keep making DC movies.
Yeah, none of them will come together. Expendables 4, big shock, total box office flop. But again, it's going to be exactly the same as all the other Expendables movies. So if you dig the 80s style action movies, give it a watch. I watched it. It's great fun. There's nothing serious about it, but
I'm actually like scrolling through a couple. The Indiana Jones movie. Why?
oh, Dial of Destiny was bad. Well, it had its moments, right? Like there was some like really redeeming moments with Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. So it had its moments for me, and I really love that IP. So I'm pretty biased in that regard. Uh, Critically and like box office speaking, not great.
Yeah. My thing is with I'm a big Beetle, like Blue Beetle fan. So like I actually thought that movie was good. It was just slow. I
I
think the
constantly
reason
forget that's already out.
the only yeah you but the problem I have with it is that I don't think they're gonna do anything else with it. So
No,
it's just a fucking sin because
yeah,
if I knew there was going to be some more with him playing Blue Beetle, it would be really good. But I
I'm
don't
about to
think it was
catch
a
a
flop.
lot of flack for this. This is going to be my hot take for this episode, and that is 100% that Zack Snyder's new movie Rebel Moon is Garbo.
I mean, so
I
this is
really don't think Zack Snyder's all that great of a director. Like everyone's like, oh, you should have watched the Snyder cut, and I'm like, is a bad movie still a bad movie, dog? The Snyder cut's not saving anything.
so
4 hours of
what's
a bad movie is still 4 hours of bad movie.
what surprised me with Rebel Moon is usually Zack Snyder's got an issue with his movies of going super into detail with his characters. Like you even know their shoe size by the first 10 fucking minutes. But it seemed like in Rebel Moon he wanted like no real character development. Like all he did was develop the girl. Like that was it. Like you
It,
got nothing else out of it. Like it was such a here's the beginning. We'll throw in 3 pages in the middle, and then here's the end. I'm like,
like I
fuck.
said, I don't think that movie was great. I don't think the Snyder cut of his DC movies have been all that good. It's just, yeah, like, and I'm gonna catch shit because he's got some diehard fans out there. Like, he's got some real like
He does.
Zack Snyder is the greatest director of all time fans out there, and I'm ready. I'm ready for the flack. Like, I'm ready for the smoke. But I
don't think you're gonna catch any from Rebel Moon though, because it hasn't been doing well. Like people don't even like.
yeah.
I liked it.
Eh.
I did. I thought it was okay. I was actually just upset that it wasn't. Not that it wasn't longer, but like he didn't have character development. Like that's what really surprised me. Like he's notorious for that. Like when he didn't add anything really great to the Zack Snyder like cut of Justice League, other than the fact that he fucking fully developed Cyborg like for an extra hour in that movie. Like that's it. That's what we got out of it. Like it was weird.
It was still a bad movie. Like there's nothing you can do to save. There was nothing that could be done to save the DCEU. Hopefully James Gunn can get some stuff rolling, like can get this turned around. Sad to say Jason Momoa is probably just going to be done. At that point, I would scrap everybody.
You have to like. I don't even like. And he's
How do you
got
bring anybody over?
And you have to figure out like he's got to figure out this Joker / Patterson thing. Like you have to figure this out. You can't have a Batman and a Joker, 2 separate universes, not coinciding at any point, and then you're gonna have a third universe with everybody in it. Like get fucked. This isn't gonna work.
The thing is like, yeah, like these are already set up in like established stories and stuff. So I mean,
build off them.
It's fine. I'd rather keep them separate and let them keep making decent movies. Because the Batman with Robert Pattinson was, by no means is it my favorite Batman movie, but it's also not my least favorite.
It grabs you in an awkward way, I think.
It felt very crime noir. And
what
it
he
felt
was.
like, yeah, it felt like OG Batman, where it's like he's doing detective stuff. He's catching people as they're committing crimes. And it's not just like a martial arts showcase or like, here's my new wild suit with bat nipples or whatever.
Yeah, like he wasn't like somehow fighting super ridiculous aliens and things like that. Like it was true Batman, like a normal guy just trying to make a difference, and it was nice.
Yeah, and good interaction with Selena Kyle. I'm not, like I said, it was a good movie. Like I said, not my favorite Batman casting of all time, but
I really like Dungeons and Dragons, though. I did not think that was a flop like everyone else.
Oh, dude, I don't know anybody who thought that was a flop. There was people that like.
Oh, it did bad.
The Dungeons and Dragons movie? No, it didn't.
Yeah.
It 100% did not.
Compared to what it was supposed to. The film's budget was 150, and they made 100. Oh no, sorry, it needed to make 370 million to break even, and it didn't hit the numbers. I thought it was good. I really hope they make another one. I mean, the casting was good. The way they played their characters was good. I don't know why that was a flop.
I wouldn't consider it a flop.
What did people expect?
208 million worldwide, 100 million domestic. I mean, I don't think it's a flop by any means. And like the fans, most fans anyway, really liked it.
I know, that's what I mean. But like,
so I
don't know. It's on the list of flops for the year. But like,
I really wouldn't consider that a flop. Whoever wrote that's just looking for a hot take.
The biggest. Let's see. I don't even know what website this is. Looper.com. Looper.com.
Well, they're Garbo.
They got Renfield on here too. I didn't even see that. I
didn't see Renfield. That was a Nick Cage movie. I'm sure it was ably acted for being a Nick Cage movie. I do love Nick Cage though.
When he was younger, and he wasn't just making anything with a script, he was pretty good in my opinion. Like Gone in 60 Seconds. Solid movie. 60
Seconds and Con Air are probably going to be my 2 favorite Nick Cage movies of all time.
Yeah, hell, he had the worst accent in history, like trying to do that Southern Cage thing. Like, oh, it was so bad, but it was so good at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
I did love Gone in 60 Seconds, man. That movie was amazing.
65. I always forget that came out this year. That was that Adam Driver movie
Yeah, that was the Adam
where
Driver time travel dinosaur thing.
dinosaur infested Earth. I thought that was all right, but yeah, I guess it was another big flop.
I mean, I'll watch anything with all Kylo chest. I really like Adam Driver, so I'll
I like him
watch
because
his
he's a
movies.
veteran.
I want to support him. Yeah, dude, support vets.
Yeah, he's a
He's got a
former
great
Marine.
sense of humor too. You have to if you're going to be a Marine. I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say
one of the requirements is.
I'm pretty sure he credits part of his humor to his time in service.
Yeah.
What else came out? Ooh, The Covenant, Guy Ritchie's, whatever that was. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't
Military
even
movie.
hear about that movie.
Oh, Big George Foreman.
Yeah, that did not do well. Most of those sports like docu-series movies usually trend fairly high, and that
I
one
think
just
it's
did not
because he's been
do
out of
well.
TV for so long. Foreman. They would have done it a couple years ago when he was still all over TV. It would have done a lot better. Oh, there was my biggest flop of the year, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I can't even say the title.
Quantumania.
Quantumania. Yeah.
Quantumania.
Yeah, well, I'm not learning English.
See, and I thought it was okay. They wasted MODOK, and I hated that. Like,
yeah,
because MODOK could have been a much more compelling villain than they made him, and obviously the whole setup for that with Kang being the big bad evil guy is obviously done because Jonathan Majors has officially been let go.
Ooh, have you heard the newest rumor though?
Hmm.
They're talking about bringing in Doctor Doom and having him kill off all the Kangs and become the new bad guy.
I mean, it's something Doom could clearly do. But you can't have Doctor Doom without the Fantastic Four. You're definitely going to have to bring in a Fantastic Four movie if you're going to do Doctor Doom.
They were talking about working on that before the writer's strike. So, that'd be interesting. I think you could bring in Doctor Doom and then bring in the Fantastic Four. I think you could do it. I mean, they'd have to.
So the problem, oh God, I mean, I guess you could introduce Doom as the villain, but you're definitely going to have Fantastic Four somewhere in there because that's the primary protagonists against Doctor Doom.
Well, see, I would bring them in, like, I would introduce Doom, like, killing all the Kangs or whatever, and then, like, has Doom is about to, like, fuck everybody up, then I'd bring in the Fantastic Four out of nowhere. And then after that, I would do their origin story movie. That way it looks cool.
You're doing it backwards.
I know, but it's something new.
But you're making the same problem that you're having the exact same problem with the DC EU had of trying to do the team up movie before you established all your stars. Got to establish the stars before you do your team up movies.
Yeah, but the other difference with that is that DC picked a lot of heavy hitters to be their characters, where Marvel did it smart and they took a lot of like low key, not as famous people and brought them together and they worked well together. Like Marvel was smart, like not just in the fact of like they brought them in one at a time and didn't form the team first, but they brought in people that were not here in their career. Like DC brought in all these heavy hitters, like thinking that's what makes the movie, and it's like, no, that's not what makes the movie. Like that's not at all what made the movie. Like you could see, even though they were all good, you didn't get the click as much with them. Like you kind of got it with Gal Gadot. Sorry, I butchered your name. Yeah, and you're super hot. Anyways, and Ben Affleck, and then Henry Cavill. Like those three kind of had a good vibe together. I found that like the actor that played Cyborg, and I'm sorry, dude, that you got mistreated on set. That's shitty. And it's nothing against you, but I just didn't feel like you clicked as much with the team. And same with the Flash. Like where like with the Avengers, all of them kind of clicked. It was good that Edward Norton quit because I don't think he would have clicked in that group as well, and I think we would have lost a main character.
Oh God, Mark Ruffalo! I just can't picture anybody as Bruce Banner without it being Mark Ruffalo now.
Yeah, so I think like Marvel really clicked like with their pickup because
I mean their casting choices are fantastic, but I mean even by comparison, you definitely want to establish your characters before you put them in a team up. Because if you do team up first and then try to backtrack and establish a character, it's like, well, why? So I mean, I would do the Fantastic Four movie first and then introduce him. But we'll see. Like I said, I would love Doom to be a good bad guy for Marvel. I would be excited to see who they would cast as Doom. Because Dr. Victor Von Doom is probably one of the best
Yeah, you got to have
like
somebody that
comic
can.
villains ever.
You got to have someone on the ball for that, man. Like he's got to be good because he's such a suave character, man. But you got
Oh,
to have
he's
someone too that plays like. Oh, I just thought of him, and I'm gonna have to look him up now. He was
they're
in
gonna have
the
to
Heart movie.
they're gonna have to pick somebody that can act super condescending because Doom is very condescending.
Yeah,
Mostly because he's superior to like 98% of the people that go up against him.
Jamie Dornan.
Hold on, I gotta look him up.
Yeah, dude, that dude could play the shit out of Doom. He was in that movie The Heart on Netflix with Gal, with that last name I can't say right. Has the main actress in it, and he was the main.
Heart of Stone.
He was the bad guy. No, it's just The Heart.
It's
Is it
Heart
or
of Stone with Gal
Oh,
Gadot. Yeah.
oops. Well, for
Don't
me, The Heart was pulling up. Oops. Yeah,
don't
so yeah, that movie there, like he could play a great Doctor Doom. I would get him.
he's a little young. Or at least
I
he
would
looks
do a
young.
younger Fantastic Four team. I would anyways because they're gonna bring in X-Men too. Dude, what Fantastic Four team do you bring? Do you bring in the original or do you bring in like one of the modified ones later on?
No, I'd bring it. I'd
So
totally
many
bring
fucking
in.
choices.
I'd bring in the OG Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four have been four with like a few rotating people that have teamed up with
Yep.
them. But yeah, you have to do Reed Richards. You have to do
You have,
Susan
oh yeah,
Storm.
Reed Richards has to.
Well, you have to do. Yeah, I mean, you have to do the originals. Like, it's got to have the Thing. You know, Ben Grimm. It's got to have Reed Richards. It's got to have Susan Storm. And it's got to have Johnny Storm as the Human Torch.
Dude, and talking about flops, I know it wasn't this year, but all the Fantastic Four movies were flops.
Yeah,
Like,
they
I
weren't
kind of liked the last one with Miles Teller because I like him. He's a pretty good actor.
Yeah,
But
that was all right.
it's just but it wasn't.
That was one of Chris Evans' like first. I think that was Chris Evans' first superhero movie. Was Fantastic Four. Before he became Captain America, he was Johnny Storm in the OG.
I was gonna say it depends on if you count because he did do that one. What was that movie? He did a comic book movie prior to that, but it wasn't like it wasn't.
And it's gonna be out of
a
my realm of
well-known
knowledge.
one. Yeah, it was an interesting one. I actually really like it. The Something Guys. Where is it? He's been in so many goddamn movies. It's taking forever to go through them all. The Losers. Sorry.
Oh,
The Losers.
Yeah, I like The Losers. That movie was good.
Dude, that movie was awesome. I don't know why they didn't make another one.
Probably because it was a one-off. Wasn't that was the one where Idris Elba was the bad guy, right?
Well, he was the leader of the team, but I think he does betray them in it, and then he becomes a good guy again. Dude, but Chris Evans' acting career is pretty good. Like, I liked Push, but that wasn't as good as... That's actually another superhero movie. Push was so good, too, though. Dude, he's been in so many movies. And not a lot of them successes. Poor guy. Most of his movies are 6s or under.
Let's see.
Other than any of his superhero movies. Those are the only ones that are above a 7. Dude, The Gray Man. That came out this year, didn't it? No, it was last year.
No, I thought that was this year. Was it last year?
Looking at it, yeah. Must have been the end of last year because I don't remember it being out that long. That was a solid one. All right, what do we got for wrestling? Oh, CM Punk, huge flop in AEW this year.
I mean, a bet of his own making. I think that was just a bad, environment overall. I think it's one of those things where, I mean, obviously WWE's not going to put up with it because they'll cut people like no problem. If you're outside of their realm of accepted behavior in WWE, you're gone. I mean, look at Matt Riddle. He was fired almost instantly when he started causing big problems, specifically backstage. So, I mean, I think he's probably going to be on his P's and Q's, and I think he may have learned that he's not just untouchable, which is also an important lesson.
Did you see how mad? Who was it when he like first showed his face that was in the ring that got like super upset that CM Punk came out?
Seth freaking Rollins.
I think he was like, if he wasn't actually mad that he was there, that like actor of the year, like the best performance of 2023. Because he legitimately looked like he was going to just shit stop him for no reason. Like,
That's
just
a
for
work. That
breathing.
is 100% a work. I'm going to call that right now. That's a work. They're setting up the CM Punk Seth
I
Rollins
mean,
feud.
well, then he sold it better than, like, anything I've seen in wrestling. Because it legit, like, he actually, like, physically just looked pissed.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
God.
I mean, I think he sold it. They had some like real life like beef. Like the two of them really did have some real life beef. I think it was due to a comment that CM Punk made about Seth Rollins' wife, which again is probably going to be a touchy subject for those dudes.
Yeah, you don't ever do
Um,
that.
and you should never say anything bad about Becky Lynch because she's the frickin' man. I love Becky Lynch. Probably my favorite female wrestler of all time. Right up
I don't
there.
know if
Her
she's
and Rhea Ripley are really high on my list right now for female wrestlers.
Rhea's like making a big, like, she's smart, man. She's got a huge social media presence on top of everything else, and WWE is
Yep.
riding that, dude, because,
Oh,
like,
100%.
I'm always on our platforms, like, talking to different people and doing some different works on there, and, like, they are always popping up in my threads, dude, on all my
Her,
platforms.
if you ever just want some like workout motivation, check out some of the workouts that her and I think it's her fiance. I don't know if they've gotten officially married yet or not, but Buddy Matthews, dude, some of their workouts are absolutely wild. Some of the
Sad
stuff they
face.
do. Yeah, dude,
No, I
Muscle
bet.
Mommy's
Look
taken.
at her.
I know that's upsetting.
Yeah, like, I would have an outside shot. You never know.
Yeah,
She
I
could
don't
see
think
this and just, it could
just
happen.
melt. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
that's gonna happen, man. Hey, I do have a question though. Are we wearing the same sweater?
we absolutely are.
We are. Oh,
I really,
twinsies.
I like the
Twinning.
design on this sweater, and I like the
It's
way
so
that
good.
it feels.
It's very
I'm
soft.
thinking about when I redo, because I did our CTN logo, like something a little more simple, like just with our
Yeah.
letters for the new
Yeah.
year. I was thinking about trying to incorporate the dragon circle with it because I do like just the dragon circle design.
This is
So
super dope.
nice.
I love this sweater.
Very comfortable. I do have this sweater now on our store with the actual CTN stuff on it too. Um, so it is there if people are curious. Um, and
Yeah.
I think I've tried most of our merchandise. It's all pretty good. Um, everything on there is decent quality. I've pretty much beaten the shit out of everything one way or another. Especially the hat. Like, yeah, it's been through hell. I haven't had any
A
shrinkage
lot of
in the
redesigns on
clothing.
the hat. I haven't
Yeah,
either.
oh,
The
dude.
clothing
Oh,
stayed true to size. Um,
yeah. Like, I have quite a few of the shirts now. I also made a rain jacket finally. I don't know if I put it in the store yet. Um,
I have to keep an eye out.
yeah. So there's a few things out there.
You were talking about wrestling flops, and it got me thinking about all the fantastic wrestling I've watched. But um, for those of you that were heartbroken about the people that got released during the UFC WWE merger, which also happened this year, a lot of people's non-competes are coming up in the month of December. I think most of them are actually past at this point by a few days. So hopefully in January we're going to start seeing some serious bookings. Um, I know the big one for me that they released being Dolph Ziggler. I just, yeah, that one blew me away. I mean, Dolph Ziggler's been such a mainstay in WWE for so long. Seeing him on the release list was a little shocking. So hopefully he goes on to do bigger, better, and brighter things. I believe he's probably going to land in AEW. Like, I have a
He's
strong feeling that's where he's going.
he's actually doing stand up right now.
Dolph Ziggler? I mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
straight up.
shocked if the dude's like, I'd be down to give it a shot. I mean, why not?
Yep, he is working as a comedian
Dolphy Boy
after.
Ziggles.
Yeah. He still wants to pursue wrestling though, I guess.
Yeah. That guy was
But
such
yeah,
a
he
company
is.
man. It's a shock to see that he got released. Like, that really blows my mind. Um, Mason Mansoor, not shocked that they were released at all. I'm glad they're already doing bookings and like promotional things, so good for them.
Dude, I just want to
Mustafa
know what's
Ali
gonna.
being another big one. I hope he lands somewhere good. I expect him to probably end up in Lucha Underground or New Japan if I were a gambling man. I don't think he'll go to AEW.
I think AEW is only going to take people like big names. I want to see where Matt Riddle supposedly went to MLW?
Yeah, Major League Wrestling.
I've never heard of that particular one, so I guess he's there. I'm
There's
surprised AEW didn't grab him because of everything. Like, he is kind of big deal.
he's got some substance abuse problems, and I don't think AEW wants to deal with that because that can turn
Yeah,
into a real slippery slope. Until he gets his personal life under control, I wouldn't expect AEW or WWE to bring him back.
I mean, yeah, I don't. It'll be interesting with him and wrestling just because of his issues. People always take shots on people though. Like, look at Matt and Jeff Hardy. Like, I think some of Matt's best stuff's been in his older age now that he can't high fly as much as acting and stuff in the ring's gotten a lot better. I wasn't a big fan of him or found him very interesting in the beginning when he was just him and his brother. Early on, I always found that it was his brother more than him that was interesting.
I mean, I always
But as
liked
they've
Team
gotten
Extreme.
older,
They've always had slightly different styles. I mean, Matt did do some of the high flying stuff, but he wasn't the risk taker the same way Jeff was. Jeff was going to do any stunt, which led to all of his substance abuse problems because he was constantly in pain from having to have all these big spots. Which we've talked about that on a previous episode, talking about the spot fests. Man, that was Jeff Hardy was one of those ones that kind of set the standard for that, where they were like, "Well, we have to do something bigger than what Jeff Hardy did this year." So, got to be careful with that. Lots of injuries in that regard. But Matt had a few successful solo runs too, without
yeah,
Jeff.
he did, but it was all later in his career, if I'm not mistaken.
He had a great feud with Edge that really launched Edge to the rated R superstar status. Like, that literally laid the foundation for Edge to become the megastar that he was. He had a really poor 2023 in WWE, but a great debut at AEW. Got to go back in
Edge?
feud with Christian, yeah. Which he's Adam Copeland now. He's not wrestling as Edge in AEW. Obviously, Edge is trademarked for WWE, but one of the few that got to leave and go to that company on really good terms with WWE management. I know he and Triple H are fairly close.
Well, I mean, he did everything he could. Like, I think even Triple H said that, like, there was nothing really left for him to do, and they didn't want to showcase him as much, and he still wanted to be showcased more, is kind of what I've gotten out of all these different interviews I've seen. So if you still want to be a big name and, like, you want to do, obviously, everyone should be amicable to just part. I don't know why WWE would ever have an issue. So I like the fact that Adam Copeland came out several times and said that he doesn't have beef with WWE. Like, he's actually done it more than once, which is impressive. Yeah. Like,
well, even WWE on more than one occasion has been like, we wish Adam Copeland the best. We hope he's very successful. Like, he left on good terms, and like even Adam Copeland has come out and just been like, yeah, no, it was amicable. It was an agreed parting of ways, which you don't see that a lot in wrestling. It's usually somebody leaves kind of in a huff.
Or they just ignore it. Like, that's been the thing I've always noticed in wrestling, is it just gets fucking ignored, like, as to why they left.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's not good or bad terms. I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm hoping we can kind of lay the groundwork for Malachi Black in AEW to come back to WWE and be Aleister Black again. Probably one of my favorite NXT wrestlers of all time. I would love to see him feud against some of the people that they've got in WWE currently. I really want to see him get a lot of center stage attention. I'm trying to think of some other big flops. Cody Rhodes lost to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. That was a huge flop in my opinion.
He had the worst come to WWE.
I disagree.
I don't know what they're doing with him. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. He came back
and won the Royal Rumble and then had his WrestleMania match against Roman Reigns. That was just, this bloodline storyline has been going on too long. Every single pay-per-view that Roman Reigns wrestles at, it's the bloodline interferes and he retains his championship. It's really played out. I need to see the implosion happen, like, completely. I need to see Jimmy and Jay both have a brief solo career before coming back together as a tag team. I want to see Solo Sikoa just start wrecking people really high up on the card. And I want to see Roman Reigns just kind of crumble, take a little time off, look at reinventing his character and then coming back a little ways down the road. Give him several months off, let him kind of just find his stride with a new gimmick and come back. As it sits right now, we've got so many people that are really hot on the main card, and it's time to pass the belt to somebody. And I mean, you got to give it to somebody. I don't think AJ Styles is going to be the one to get it, because I know he's up there right now. AJ Styles has also had a really rough year, full of injury and bad storytelling for poor AJ.
So how long do you think before AEW gets bought out by WWE, or do you think they try to make it? You don't think so?
No, they're
Like
still
the
going to keep working.
WCW thing where they merged.
I don't foresee that happening. Tony Khan's dumped enough money into it, and they're pretty stable. As long as they don't try, as long as they hit their stride first, I still think their expansion into numerous additional pay-per-views is a bad idea. I really think, because their viewership's fairly high, all in all. Like, their ratings are fairly good, the storylines are good, the shows are getting well reviewed. Obviously, you've got some really hot feuds going on right there. You've got whoever the devil is coming after MJF. You've got again, Edge and Christian, or sorry, Adam Copeland and Christian are having a good feud with one another. You've got Miro going up against crud, I forgot his name. Still, though, I mean, you've got a lot of really, Sting's going to have his last match coming up soon.
Oh, God, please
which
stop
is always
going
to be great.
Older people. Please, wrestling,
he's held up a lot better than a lot of those older dudes, especially the spots they give him in. And he's going to have, like I said, his final match is going to be, there's going to be plenty of rest periods. He's going to know he knows how to pace himself at that age.
Yeah, no, he's he's one of the smarter ones. Like, he's taking better care of himself than other people for his age. I definitely can't tell his age at all by looking at him. Like, I know he's older, but you definitely can't tell it just by looking at him. He's done a great job. But at the end of the day, there comes a time, man,
and he's calling it quits, right? This is going to be his last match. That's it, the final hurrah. It's not going to be a title push, which is great, because you shouldn't with those guys when it's their retirement run. So, good for him. Hopefully, Darby Allin's career continues to go up. They used Sting to kind of give him a rub upwards on the card, which was great. So yeah, that's coming to a close, which to me was a big downer announcement. I was sad, but those guys have to retire at some point. So
they do, or they can become coaches or ringside people calling stuff out. They have options. There's things they can do. Especially someone like Sting, who was such a beloved character. It'd be really interesting to see him to do color commentary for some matches or something, because he'd probably talk more in one episode than he has his entire career. I remember he would go whole episodes not talking.
He went a 6-month stretch with just standing in the rafters at WCW, and everyone was hype on it. I don't think he said a single word, very Phantom of the Opera up in the rafters. I don't know how well he would do on color commentary, if I'm being honest. I would love Chris Jericho to go to color commentary. That would be amazing.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
He's so good at it. Even when he sits down to just do side promos during matches and interviews and stuff, he's so good at color commentary. He would be fantastic.
I definitely think it'd be interesting to see him doing that. He seems like he definitely has biases. I think he could hold them in check while he's doing ringside stuff. I think he'd be all right. You can't be any worse than Taz.
Taz was a good heel announcer. When they tried to make him the good guy announcer, he didn't do well. I liked him, especially when he was teamed up with Booker T on the announce table. Both of those guys were fun, because they would kind of bounce off one another. Speaking of flops, though, Taz's WWE run was a huge flop, which is not Taz's fault. He got backstage politicked, but it is what it is. His son is a fantastic wrestler. Hook, that kid's going to go far.
I didn't know he had a kid wrestler.
Yeah.
Dude, that's nuts. Dude, it's, you're getting old when people you watch, kids are coming up. And
their kids are wrestling. Gosh, Dominic Mysterio is still probably the best heel in WWE. Rey Mysterio's son. That kid, golly.
Yeah, but
we're not supposed to be talking about the best. We're supposed to be talking about the worst. And
But
speaking
what?
of the worst, Sean Spears is leaving AEW, so that's good news. Not that I have anything personally against Sean Spears, he's just very boring.
Dude, AEW's got problems with certain things like that. Like that one guy that always cuts himself and has to bleed everywhere,
John
to make his
Moxley.
fights interesting. Yeah, like, come on, man. Like, we don't
I don't
stop,
think he does
dude.
it
At this
to.
stage,
I don't think he does it to make his matches interesting. I think he just does it. I think it's just one of his favorite spots is just do a little blading real quick and then.
it's like his little kink in the middle
I
of the
guess I don't know,
stage.
man.
Like,
He's definitely a
like, I don't
fantastic
think it
wrestler, and I love
adds.
his promos, man. I love John Moxley. He's really good.
I don't know. They gotta
Oh,
get rid of the blood in the ring as much.
yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the other big. There hasn't just been a ton of huge flops. The Bloodline storyline can go. That's been my biggest letdown for WWE this year. Has been
My only thing with wrestling was literally just the
too
Cody
long.
Rhodes thing, like my biggest flop. Cause I just started getting more into it as our season on this show has progressed. So the biggest thing for me, I thought Cody Rhodes should have got more into the season. I think it's a flop that they did what they did because his hype has gone down. If you look at him trending on like social media, it's nowhere near what it was at its
No.
peak. And he's taken a huge hit from that loss.
Yeah, and I don't foresee because you don't want to put him in a feud with Seth Rollins right now because that doesn't make sense. He needs to be going after Roman Reigns. So having them on separate shows, I think, was a poor move because the only way you either have to wait until the next draft to put him up against Roman Reigns, and that means he would still have to have the title after all this time. I'm really interested to see how you bring the bloodline to a close. I wanted to call it at that WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes taking the title off of him. I thought that would have been a good place to kind of remove the title from the picture and still have the bloodline story going. But it is what it is. Obviously, there's some type of plan we're not privy to.
Triple H, he does get the benefit of the doubt because he came in a bad spot to take it back over for the second time.
Oh, for sure,
without any influence, because McMahon came in and made some more changes when it was going really good. That, in my opinion, probably fucked it up. So he's got to fix that because I think if he was in charge at the time, he would have gave Rhodes the title.
Yeah,
at Wrestle. I don't think he would have let him lose. Like we talked about when around that time when we did episodes on it. Like I do think Cody Rhodes would have won it. It would have been the smartest play to do. Like coming in, he's got the name, like everything going with it.
He's got the name, he's got the hype. It would have been the right time, especially coming off because he was coming back after the shoulder surgery. He won the Royal Rumble. I think it would have been fine to drop the title to him. I don't think it would have hurt Reigns really all that much.
No,
but
he's had it forever.
He's the longest reigning champ of all time now in WWE.
And like nothing against Roman Reigns. I know he's been through hell in life. Like he had leukemia or something at one point.
Yeah, he's had leukemia twice.
Through it all. Yeah. So like stellar career and stuff, but like his storyline probably I would say because part of that, he's not been as active a champion as some previous people. And
yeah.
It's weird to me that they just keep it on him. Like, I don't know.
I can't do these part-time champions, man. It kills me. And I think another big flop decision by WWE, I mean, since we're on the topic, is Logan Paul being the United States champion. Absolute freaking Garbo decision. Like, that's such a dumb person to put that title on. These part-time champions, man, they kill the show because then, like, why are we watching? Like, there's no championships at stake, because Roman Reigns ain't going to be there. So, like, he's obviously not going to be defending his title on the show. Now the other
Logan
title
Paul?
is the US. Yeah, he's the freaking United States champion in WWE.
But has he even wrestled since he won it?
No. I don't think he's been on TV with it since he's won it, other than to announce like a tournament to see who his next number one contender is going to be.
Well, and he's been doing little like social media things with it.
I don't care.
Yeah, no, I know. But
like that's the same show has two part-time champions. Like at least when Brock Lesnar had the Raw title back in the height of the McMahon poor storytelling era, you had Seth Rollins as the Intercontinental Champion who was carrying that show on his shoulders.
Yeah, you just
you can't have two part-time champions.
I have to think
on the same show. Like, it's
that
just a bad idea.
they have a plan. They must have a plan. They must know that there's always a lull maybe around this time of the year, and maybe come the new year, Logan Paul's going to be more active in the. I think it'd be great if Logan Paul was more active in the show. Like I think,
honestly,
it would be smart.
An easy setup is to have Logan Paul cost LA Knight a shot at the big championship, and then have LA Knight take the U.S. title off of Logan Paul. I think that would be a fine place for it and a good place for the storyline to go, mostly because both of them could cut a pretty scathing promo against one another.
I think it'd be great if they somehow got forced into being tag team champs.
I
think it'd be funny.
Overdone. That storyline's overdone. They did that with Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle. They did that with, I think, Rey Mysterio and Batista. They did that with Bryan Danielson, I guess it was Daniel Bryan in WWE, and Kane with the Hell No movement, or Hell Yes movement. I can't remember what it was. Hell No. It was Hell No movement. Yeah, like they've done that storyline a lot. I would just like to get a championship of some kind thrown around his waist, a little bit of gold to grace them hips. And honestly, at this point, with the way they're setting it up, man, Randy Orton needs a big push. This is the best version of Randy Orton I have seen in a long time.
He might be the one to do the Roman Reigns thing. Are they same show?
No. Yeah, same show.
Yeah, so there you go. That could be.
It's got to. I mean, it's got to be Cody. Or what was the point of bringing Cody back at all?
I mean, we've been saying that, but he's different show. Like, you're gonna really keep it on him that much longer. Like,
anything could happen. It's not leaving his waist until WrestleMania. I can guarantee you, it's not leaving his waist until WrestleMania.
I miss it when it would like switch hands during Raw. If I'm not mistaken, like even just during Raw, like sometimes titles would switch.
Yeah,
I don't think they do that much anymore.
I know the transition between the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era, that happened pretty frequently because, again, you had a stacked like main event cast because you had The Rock, you had Stone Cold, you had Triple H, you had Chris Jericho, you had Booker
Edge.
T, you had. This is before Edge even got huge. This is before Edge became the main event star because he was still tag teaming with Christian at that point.
Oh yeah.
You had.
Oh, I'm trying to remember, dude.
Again, just like I said, just a stacked Undertaker. Obviously, Undertaker's always a main event player. Kane. You had
Mankind. He was still
Mankind. There. You had all these people that anybody could, or Cactus Jack, or Mick Foley. He's the only dude I've ever seen that enter the Royal Rumble like as a bunch of different characters one year, and that was absolutely amazing. But he would come out as a different one after getting eliminated.
Stamina, like just looking at that guy, like anyone that gave him shit for that, like look at that dude. He does not look in shape, but he can wrestle.
God, he was so tough,
like forever. Like,
but yeah, well, like I said, we'll see where it goes. I think the Cody Rhodes WrestleMania storyline was a huge flop. I think the Bloodline storyline has been a huge flop. I mean, it's had some successes, but it's definitely a tired gimmick.
That's just it. Like, that's why, to me, eventually something can be considered a flop if you just drag it on too long.
Yeah.
If you don't close storyline, not just for wrestling either, by the way. Like, this is for anything. Like, if you don't close storylines down right, it is a flop because you need to have a solid ending. No one.
Oh yeah,
a story's only as good as its ending. Like video game wise, like movies, everything. Like there have been several movies that like they're
decent
good,
movie,
but
bad ending.
Yeah, and it just flops it for me. Like I'll never fucking watch it again.
Oh no, it kills the motivation to ever watch it again.
Yes, like you have to close out stories properly. I think if I were to pick one thing that makes something a flop more than anything else would probably be storylines and endings and things like that. Like I can get around other issues usually with stuff. Like I can kind of, but like if the story doesn't gel right, if it doesn't carry over to the next movie or the next show or the next game or things like that, like I find that flops things more. Like Starfield for me, that's the biggest reason to me it wasn't. If I were to say it's a flop, would be the storyline because of the fact that like it didn't grab me. It wasn't very engaging to me, and I didn't finish it, so I can't bitch about the ending. But it didn't make me want to finish it.
It's the
So
same as
that's
most of
why.
the Bethesda games as far as it's a pretty self-driven story. At least I'm motivated to like figure out, hey, what is happening to me. So for those of you that haven't played Starfield, I'm not going to do any spoilers on this one. But you do have like a motivation to go discover, to like go do the main story
Yeah,
quest and stuff like that. There's definitely a motivation there, which I never really had with any of the Fallout games, really. Like especially 4. 4 was just the worst. It's like somebody's kidnapped your kid, build a town. Like, why is this a main story mission? Like, shouldn't I be looking for my kid? Like, shouldn't that be my primary driver? Why am I stopping here and building a settlement for like 13 days?
yeah, no, it's interesting, but like I can always like Cyberpunk was a flop the year
Huge flop.
before for me because of that one was all gameplay. It wasn't the story. I thought the story was good. It actually got me to still play with some of the glitches that were going on. Like I actually was fortunate. I played it on computer. No, I played a PS5 first. Did not have a lot of glitches that other people did. My game for the most part was glitch free. I had a few here and there, but I got through a lot of stuff without too many glitches. But that's what killed it for me originally. Is why I put it down is the glitches. So flops. I mean, it can be anything that does it. But yeah, storyline usually kills it for me.
Yeah,
You got
to
a
me,
bad story.
like in movies specifically, it's the acting. If the acting is bad, I'm not going to be able to take a movie serious. Like it could have one of the best written scripts, but
Ooh.
if it's acted poorly, I'm done. I'm
Oh,
also
now.
of the opinion that if something is successful but has a conclusive ending, let it just have a conclusive ending. It doesn't need a sequel or a prequel. If you have told the story to completion, don't try and force or shoehorn in another follow-up. And I have that problem with a lot of games where there's a very definitive, clear end of the story point, and then they're like, we're doing it again. Run it back. No, man. Let it be done. If you're going to do a whole bunch of games in a series, Assassin's Creed, perfect example, sets itself up to do a whole bunch of games in a series. You can jump in around timelines because they're doing that Animus
So
like
good.
mind exploration thing. That's fine. Makes sense wherever you end up. I get it.
Dude, you
But
got
then
me
you
so
have
thinking.
you have games
Sorry.
that have conclusive endings, and then they were like, well, we better do a sequel because this game, did really well. Let's do another one. It's like, God, just stop.
Yeah, let it
Be done.
die.
Yeah, just let it be
Mass
done.
Effect. Such a great one that should have just been put to bed.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes with like the reintroduction of like N7 and like Shepard and stuff, because the ending of 3
I haven't
was
heard
not
anything lately about
pleasing.
it, so there must
They're
not
working
be.
on it.
I know, but like it's weird because nowadays usually they fucking drag it out and they tell us all about it for 7 years until they release it. So it's
I'm ready
weird
for
that they're
another
not
Dragon
really
Age game
hyping it.
already. I'm ready for another Dragon Age.
I like the original. I did not like the newest one. I know the newest one's still like 8 years old, but yeah, I didn't like it as much as the original.
I liked
I liked the
Inquisition. It was good.
storyline.
Liked the storyline. Liked the gameplay. Liked the character building. Dragon Age 2 is probably my favorite, though. Like, hands down, I'm pretty sure Dragon Age 2 is my top.
I'm really trying to think of a movie now with a good storyline but bad acting that was still easy to watch. The only movie I can ever think about that has a horrible story that I can watch over and over again is like Expendables 1. That's just,
Yeah, but it wasn't
such a
supposed.
good
It wasn't
movie.
supposed to be anything but what it was. People was like, the plot doesn't make sense and like the acting is terrible, and I'm like, who cares, man? Just watch the shoot 'em ups, dude. Just let the shoot 'em ups happen.
God, I'm really
Let it
trying to
happen.
think now. Oh, they need to stop remaking or making movies for old movies now. Like now we're gonna get a Demolition Man 2 after all these years. Like the fuck do I need
Is
that for?
Stallone gonna be in it? Like, what is happening?
I think they're bringing them both back.
No,
But like,
Wesley
why?
Snipes died at the end of that. How are you just gonna clone him and bring again? This is exactly what I'm talking about. Run it back. Like, that had
Dude,
like a nice conclusion. Like,
yeah, like I don't know why we need it. Although it turned out to be a very true movie with Taco Bell and everything. Like, I mean, no more toilet paper. A lot of the stuff's coming true.
no. Please
Yeah,
don't do a
so
Demolition Man 2. Fandom Wire says it's happening.
that's what I'm saying, man. Like, and they keep redoing these movies. Like, I don't fucking need it, dude. Like, I don't know why they think we
And
need.
Sandra Bullock coming back for it? Why?
I need a new IP, man. Give me more. interesting IPs. Like,
Boo.
it's just we like those movies are getting beat to death.
I don't need a Demolition Man 2. Sylvester Stallone, bless you, but you're too old, dog.
Oh yeah,
Too old.
dude. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think 2023 was. It's hard to. I think it was a success in the Nerdverse.
Oh, 100%.
I just. I think the hype was so big, though. Like part of it, it's just like a letdown. It's like you had so many big movies coming that were, and then same with video games. But I think it's because you had like a super like video games got ruined because of Baldur's Gate 3. I think the bar would have been a lot lower if that game never came out.
I don't know, man. There were still some really good games. I mean, you look at the nominees for Game of the Year, and like that's a pretty. I mean, obviously, Baldur's Gate 3 was going to be an easy shoe-in, right? You take Baldur's Gate out of that, and those other games are very well done. Those are all very good games that were up for Game of the Year.
Yeah, there was definitely solid releases, but like I just
but how do you beat Baldur's Gate 3? Well, I mean, we had Tears of the Kingdom come out for the Switch, right? The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Fantastic game, highly reviewed, well loved, great IP, right? Great story.
I mean,
again,
it's
fantastic
Nintendo's
game.
go-to.
How do you beat Baldur's Gate 3?
Oh, right? You can't. Like they put too much time and love. Like if you want to see a pet project where everyone's always like, I love my job and all these, like they love their job. Like they did not make that game to make money. Anything in the world you can say to me, they didn't make that game to make money. Because they could have made so much more money cutting corners, and they didn't.
Like I said, they've done a fantastic job with Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think that lessens any of the other games that were in that nomination for Game of the Year by any means. I don't think it cheapens them. It's just one of those things where like it's the easy winner because it's obviously the best far and away. But again, you take it out of that category. Like you pull Baldur's Gate 3 and don't put it up for consideration. Those other games were all good. Just because Baldur's Gate 3 was amazing, and was a benchmark for video game making doesn't mean those other games are bad. Like you can't look me dead in the face and say Tears of the Kingdom was a bad game.
No, I don't think it was bad, but I think like it. Do you know what I mean? But like when you have a game that's so complete as Baldur's Gate 3, like it's just it's so interesting.
Tears of the Kingdom was also a complete game. It had a
start,
it had
a
middle,
really
it had
good.
a finish. It was well done. There wasn't a ton of bugs. I don't think if they were patched out quickly and fairly minor because I don't remember seeing too much stuff on the bug reports. I've played it. It's well done. It's mechanically well done. The story's great. The multi-tiered world system is super dope. And then all of the wacky shit that you can build is also super fun. So, I mean, it's got a lot going for it. But again, Baldur's Gate 3 is just one of those benchmark games. Like, that's a once-in-a-generation game. Like, that's going to be the trend center, right? That's the benchmark for everything made for 2024.
I can't see anybody living up to that. Like I just can't because of the way they did it. And
but that doesn't mean other good games aren't going to come out. You know what I mean?
No. I think more games will start using early access though because of Baldur's Gate 3. I do think you'll start seeing an uptick in early access to video games because of it. I think that was a smart idea. Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's actually they make a profit because like Baldur's Gate charged for the full game to access it early. He paid for it ahead of time. So like I bought Baldur's Gate 3 like 2 years ago or whatever it was when it first came out early access.
Yeah. No, I did as well and played it, and it was really, like I said, really well done. I waited for some reviews to come out. I didn't purchase it before there was like even a drop thing. I don't pre-order games anymore. I've learned my lesson after all of the bad games I've pre-ordered.
Cyberpunk, we're talking about you. We are.
Yeah, Cyberpunk, Anthem.
See, I only did Cyberpunk was my big one, and then Starfield. Like I said, Starfield wasn't quite what I thought it would be for an early release. I wish I would have waited till it was discounted price.
I was considering pre-ordering it until they announced that it was going to be on Game Pass, and then I was like, well, if I can get it for fucking free.
Dude, I love that Baldur's Gate 3 is like, we're not going to Game Pass. That was my favorite part of the year 2023.
Yeah, but they're not. I mean, they're not one of the Microsoft affiliated studios, right? Like, obviously, they're using Microsoft as the OS for their game platform. But like, yeah, you don't have to be on Game Pass. Like, if it's a good game, I will buy it.
Yeah,
it's simple as that. So,
all right.
we'll
so
see.
What's your biggest flop? What's your biggest flop of the year?
For all of 2023, out of everything?
Yes. The one that surprised you the most, not like social media and everything like that, but the thing that let you down the most this year.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That movie really let me down. For as much as I enjoy Paul Rudd in that role, uh, MODOK was wasted. A lot of other good like ancillary characters in World was wasted in that film that I feel they could have done a much better job on. So that was my biggest letdown.
So I haven't even played it yet, but mine is the day before because I was super pumped for it because
I
of what it was
forgot that
supposed
game
to
was
be.
real. There was
And
speculation that that was a scam. Like,
like
like
there's a lot, yeah. Like they're reimbursing people's money because like you're supposedly not going to be able to play it soon. There's a lot like going on with that. I'm definitely going to follow up a little bit with it just because I'm curious. But that's probably my biggest letdown because I was excited to see a big zombie-based MMO.
they delivered nothing. I'm glad they delivered a
No.
game because there was speculation for a while that they had just taken people's money and then done like this big shy street pyramid scheme thing.
Oh, that
I was
well, like
concerned what, but that, again, we talked about it before with where they try to bring in the random loot boxes that you can purchase
oh my god.
as an aspect of underage gambling. We've talked about that extensively. That was going to be
Yeah.
one of those things, man. Like the Federal Trade Commission was going to have to get involved, and it was going to have to be this big old huge thing. And so, yeah, like I'm glad that didn't go that
Yeah, so
direction.
the game released December 7th. On December 11th, the studio announced their closure, stating the game had failed financially. They couldn't afford to keep operating. It was removed from sale on Steam later that day.
Oh my god, a 4-day
On
run on Steam, huh? Well,
on the 22nd of December,
cheers to you.
all purchasers will be refunded automatically. The game servers will remain online until 22 January 2024, at which point they will shut down permanently.
Oof. Big oof.
Man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
definitely
not
the
good.
biggest flop of the year, hands down. Yeah, I don't foresee there being any real debate. I thought you were talking personally, not like
No, I
actual
meant
fight.
personally, like for me,
Oh,
that is because
yeah,
I was
Quantumania was mine.
excited. No, that's up there for me. I thought they'd put new characters, like something different in there, and they'd show the Young Avengers a little more. I was expecting
Yeah.
to see something with that in there. And we got none of that. Like not even
No,
like a scene at the very end of the movie. I don't think there
no,
was anything.
no, there
So
wasn't.
that surprised me. I really thought Young Avengers. But in defense of the industry of movies and stuff this year, they did have the big strike that kind of messed things up the last little bit. So I would imagine prior to the strike, some stuff was rushed, and things like that. So I will like there's some slight leeway with certain things
Give
because
them
of
a
the strike
little
coming up.
benefit of the doubt.
Marvel usually does a really good job. I think right now they need to not bring back the original team like they're talking about. Just let these
Marvel's
young
had some
Avengers
busts
come. Let
this
the young
year.
Avengers come. Let them take over. I mean, it's mostly a female cast too. I think the young
Speaking of
Avengers right
flops,
now.
man, and speaking of movie flops, man, Disney's had a rough run this year with releases, man. Like they have had a lot of misses.
See, I want to comment on them, but I think most of the reason they're flopping is because they're trying to be too political.
I don't
So
even think
like,
that's the issue. I
I
really
think
don't.
that's
Like I'm going to disagree with
really
you on that regard. Yeah, I don't think they're quality. Like I don't think they're pumping out good, well-made movies. And the other thing that's kind of hurting Disney, especially their animated studios, which have had problems, is that people are like, I'm not going to go see this in theaters. I have Disney Plus. Just going to wait for it to come out on Disney Plus and watch it at home. And I
yeah.
think that's kind of killing some of their box office. Did you just take an M&M like a pill, you psycho?
No, I actually just took my pill.
Oh, I thought
Before I
you
forget to take it, I take it when I need to. So
straight up just swallowed an M&M like a pill. I was like, what is wrong with you?
now my fat ass is going back on a diet, man. I gained like 8 pounds over the holidays. I am
holiday
in it to win it.
holiday is a time where diets are abandoned.
Yes.
You have from the week before Christmas until after the New Year to just eat whatever you want. It's that time between the New Year and the next Christmas that you have to
Right.
follow your diet strictly.
But yeah, Disney. See, I think part of it though is they're trying to make these live actions on top of everything else now, like with the Lion King and everything else they've done, like Mulan, bringing everything to live action.
Mulan
But
was
they're
good.
not.
I liked the live action Mulan.
I loved. That's my favorite live action one they've done.
The live action Aladdin
So
was fairly good too. I liked Will Smith as the genie.
I would
That was
imagine he'd
pretty
do a good job.
pretty
Since
solid. You
God
should watch
rest
it. It's good.
Robin Williams. I haven't watched it yet.
To me, it
Most
doesn't
of
hold a candle to the animated one, obviously, because how do you beat
yeah,
Robin Williams? But it was good. It was still good. I enjoyed it. But no, I think their big problem is that they're just not introducing really like compelling characters in that regard. Because like Wish came out, and that was supposed to be their big like musical, like true Disney
see, I don't even know what
animation
that is.
studio, and it was supposed to be for their anniversary, 100 years of Disney and stuff, and it did not do well at
Yeah,
all
no.
in the box office. I think it released back around Thanksgiving and just kind of tanked. So another
Disney.
swing and a miss from
Supposedly,
Disney, hurting on Marvel, hurting on Disney Animation Studios. We'll see where we go.
so here's a bold prediction for 2024. I think Apple's going to buy Disney before the end of the year. If Disney continues on this trend, I think Apple's buying Disney.
They're going to get one. Theme parks are going to carry them. Their serialized animation shows are still fine. Disney Plus is still doing really well. Actually, subscriptions are the highest they've ever been for Disney Plus. Disney still has a lot of stuff going with them because they're still partnered up with National Geographic, I believe. So they're going to have their educational programming. Disney has a lot of stuff going for them. There's no way Apple can afford Disney at all. Dude,
I think we see something.
Walmart and Amazon can't even afford Disney. Like if they teamed up, they couldn't buy Disney.
I think we're going to see some craziness, dude. If Disney keeps on this,
Disney also has 20th, but they also have 20th Century Fox. But they're not going down. They've had some flops, but they have so like that. There's such a huge.
They do have a lot, but like they're still taking hits though, man. Because their movies are like missing by chunks. Like they're not missing by like just a little bit. Like their movies are like missing. And if you look, I'm pretty sure their stock's down like a decent amount.
The Star Wars TV shows have done well. Their Star Wars animations have done fairly well. Movies didn't do super great, but I don't think any of them were particularly like just terrible bust. And like, yeah, there's been a downturn in their animation studios, but you got to think they're going to keep churning out animated movies until they have another massive hit. Like they're just waiting for the next Toy Story or the next Cars or the next Frozen or the next like Moana or whatever their next big thing is going to be. So I don't foresee them being in such a financial place to where anybody has a chance of buying them out. I mean, you got to think they bought Fox like
it was nothing.
Yeah, like they just dropped a dime and picked up Fox, no problem. So I don't, like I said, I do not see a scenario unless everything at Disney just absolutely catches fire where anybody could afford to buy them. I would be less surprised if Disney bought Apple and not vice versa. Like if Apple manages to buy Disney, that's going to be the. Boy, are you shooting for that outside shot, man? You're really trying to cover that over under, huh? Man, the odds on that one must be real long.
I don't think you can gamble on that one.
No, man, nobody's taking that. Nobody's taking that action. You'd be the only one trying to bet on that.
But just imagine though if it comes true.
Just imagine if Pikachu was fighting a Gundam. Like, get out. I will eat my hat if friggin' Apple buys Disney next year.
All right. No sauce though, no mustard or anything.
No bullshit. I'm eating it with ranch. Everything's better with ranch.
All right. A couple things I do want to cover because I know we're getting kind of long. So with the new year, we are working on a schedule, in the sense of like releasing different things. So we will always do the Thursday recordings. I do want to advertise more so everybody sees things more often. So you will see Mondays. We'll have advertising on all of our social media stuff. Everyone's gonna start seeing. I'm bringing reviews back. I didn't do it this month, So the podcast I mentioned that I would review, I'm still reviewing you. It's just we
Taking a
slowed
little
down. It's
longer
the
than
end of the year.
normal.
Yeah, it was just the end of the year. It was slowing down, so we're probably going to go to like one podcast a month for reviews, and we're going to glamorize it a little bit better on our webpage. I know Ryan's talking about reviewing some indie stuff. I reached out to somebody releasing an indie tabletop game. I'm trying to bounce back and forth to get them on.
More collabs.
Yes, so actually, and Travis doesn't even know this yet, folks, so you get to see his expression. We are looking at doing a Too Legit to Crit has brought up doing another collab for
I love
Valentine's
those dudes.
Day.
Yeah.
So Rebel Claws might be moving on to some sort of Valentine's Day thing. I don't know what the theme would be or anything like that yet. So
I don't care.
So look at that. We're going to continue to produce it through them because they do a great job. They're really good. Like, they are way better than me.
Super fun to
at
team
producing.
up with, man. Those guys were great.
Yeah. So we're looking at doing that like every now and then. We're going to do some more Blades in the Dark with them. And then we're also, like, this spin-off show is going to happen in the sense of I am going to do, I don't know how often or anything like that, but I am going to sit down with other podcasts and we are going to talk about how we came up, like ideas, troubles we had, equipment, things like that, and release it. I know big companies have been doing this, like Riverside, who we actually produce our stuff with. They do it currently. But I want to do something smaller, like in the sense of like smaller shows and things like that. Like maybe podcasts that only have like 3 people listening and stuff like that. Not that we're some huge mainstream thing, but like we've been doing it for a year now. We're growing, we're doing well, and just kind of helping everybody grow.
Definitely want to try and bring in some more guest appearances. I don't know what else to call them. I'm going to try and bring in some additional people to the show to talk about some of their passions inside the Nerdverse, just kind of branch out. We had pretty good success bringing in our friend James, old Jimmy Bones, to talk about comics. So we're looking forward to bringing in new people. I've got a couple of people I know. I know you listen, so I'm going to shout you out. Floyd Combs. He runs Emerald City Retro. I still desperately want to bring you on the show. Sorry, I had the hiccups right there for some reason. I still desperately want to bring you on the show to talk trading cards. That was our big point of interest, or I guess common interest in the Army with he and I was trading card games. So hopefully we can get him on the show soon. He's got a pretty packed schedule because he travels to all the cons to sell cards, but we'll get him on. I can guarantee it.
Yeah, like we can always we can work something out. We can even do interviews on the side, and just work it into shows.
Figure it out.
I do want to do. There's one thing I've been dying to do. I want to do hot takes with people. So like I'm truly thinking like we randomly like get people to come on. Like a night we're like not recording a show, we'll record just on the side on a random night and like just let people like filter through. We'll probably throw the link in our Discord. And like people can just filter through. I'll have someone set up as like our producer for the evening to let people in. And you just come in, pitch your hot take, and then we'll talk about it for like 10 minutes. And then we'll move on to like the next person. That way we can kind of get some fans involved.
Some fan interaction.
Show. And I do think our hot takes are usually pretty good. I mean, I know I harp on Pikachu a lot. Ash's Pikachu. I gotta make this clear. Like whenever I talk about Pikachu, I do mean Ash's Pikachu.
Nobody was talking about Pikachu. Nobody was talking about Pikachu. Let's just move on. Pikachu. Move on from Pikachu.
But yeah, so we're looking at having like a really big year. Honestly, pushing merch more, like in the sense of just showing everybody the merch more, not just having it on a website, but actually advertising it so you see it. Because I think a lot of people would be more interested in if we showed it.
Be a little more engaged with fan interaction. I know it's one of my big goals. I'm eventually going to get back onto Twitter. It was hard for me to get back into Twitter after I reached my peak. Simon Miller liked my tweet and like retweeted it, and so that was pretty much the peak of my career. I guess it's not Twitter anymore; it's X. But
I still call it Twitter. I'm bad for it. But
everybody calls it Twitter. Nobody calls it X.
We are actually bigger on Threads. Well, not bigger, but we get a lot more interaction right now on Threads. So shout out to Threads, all our fans on there, because we get a lot of interaction on there. We're growing there, people just talking, and then a lot of A lot of people on our YouTube now even are coming out.
Don't
Yeah,
forget to
so-
like, follow, and subscribe. We didn't have Ryan
Yeah.
here to do his thing, so I'm covering for him. I'm going to do it a lot shorter, so just like, follow, and subscribe. Make comments, hit the thumbs up button, do whatever. You know how it works.
Yeah, just fucking something. But yeah, so we were looking at getting a lot bigger. Season 2 is going to be a lot more crazy, a lot more interactions.
Yeah.
Probably looking at some giveaways at some point again, like we did at the beginning of this season or the middle of this season. At some point this season, and yeah, we'll definitely we'll get creative. It'll get interesting. More fans will be on the show at some point throughout the year.
Got to bring in the peeps.
Yeah,
But
we're
with
gonna do
that,
some stuff.
we're going to have to bring this episode to a close, running a little long. My name's Travis. I was joined with Eric. We are crossing the Nerdverse. Thanks for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
Yeah, I can't do the uwu thing.
So you're not going to do the uwu thing?
No,
you're
I
not
can't
going to say
do
stay toxic either? So
no, I got to come up with something new. Bye, peoples.
See ya.